It's my reset, walking head high, that's the preset. Got the J in the chair, you can breathe it. Exhale, we gon' turn that hurt into detail. It's my reset, new page, new frame, hit the refresh. If you made it to the screen, that's a big flex. Type here in the box, that's progress. That's progress. You've been carrying that weight since the group chat. Smiling in the pic, but you knew that. Heart say break, mind say keep going. Now you in the lobby and the lights start glowing. Edge laid, hoodie on, still holy. Tear stains on the sleeve, still cozy. Black girl doc with the big gold hoops. Say your name and the chain get loose. It's my reset, walking head high, that's the preset. The J in the chat, you can breathe it. Exhale, we gon' turn that hurt into detail. It's my reset, new page, new frame, hit the refresh. If you made it to the screen, that's a big flex. Type here in the box, that's progress. That's progress. We wave when we wade through the deep end. We brave when we break, then we deepen. You're safe in the space when you log in. Drop one word for your check-in. It's my reset, walking head high, that's the preset. The J in the chat, you can breathe it. Exhale, we gon' turn that hurt into detail. It's my reset, new page, new frame, hit the refresh. If you made it to the screen, that's a big flex. Type here in the box, that's progress. That's progress.
Hey, happy Sunday. I'm hoping everybody had a good week. I know it has been a little bit of a tough one for me, but we still here, okay? We're still moving forward. So if this is your first time tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have been with me the last few weeks, hey again. This episode is I don't know. I hope it's gonna do what it's supposed to do. Okay. So welcome to the Reset with Dr. J, where we turn those W.T.F moments into breakthroughs. So, okay. So real talk. I named this episode on purpose because nobody is coming to save you. And I know that's not what people want to hear, but stay with me. Because the thing that you're waiting for, the opportunity, the person, the moment when it all clicks into place, it's not coming. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about this, okay? Because I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but I am going to be helpful to you, okay? So I'm hoping that you will find some insight. We'll have a real conversation, okay? So, yeah. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. Okay, so the best news that I can give you is it means that you have way more power than you think. So today I'm going to break it down why your brain keeps you waiting, what it's costing you, and 3 tools to stop waiting and start moving your life forward. That's what this is all about. Nobody wants to be like stuck in one place, right? Or at least I hope not. So what we want to do is talk about how to move forward, because I mean, it's a lot to just like talk about it, right? But we want to do it too. So that's why I want to focus this episode on this so we can get started. Okay. Before we get started, quick reminder, I am a therapist, but I'm not your therapist. So this is a conversation. This is not treatment. If you're in a crisis, please call or text 988. That's what it's there for. If you're a veteran, 988+1, so you can get somebody that is trained in military culture, because all of that is important. I say all the time, like, this may be the appetizer where you realize I want the full meal. So 988, that's what's there for you, okay? And also you can download the PTSD Coach app. I've been doing a lot of work with AI and integrating that in mental health. It does not replace your therapist. So please don't go tell nobody that Dr. J said that, because I did not. But it is helpful to you. So if we need tools like grounding tools, tools to bring down our anger a bit, tools to help us sleep, all the common problems, that app will help you. So it's called PTSD Coach App, created by the VA. I think they did a wonderful job. I know there's a lot of complaints that we see about the VA and gripes that we have and things like that, but I think they got it right with this app. So if you need something, at like 2 a.m. when no one else is around, you can click this app. Hey, I'm having trouble sleeping, and it will give you a meditation or something to play. I've done it myself a couple times. It was helpful. So offering that to you. I love free resources. Go ahead and download that. No, they are not paying me to say that. I do not get anything if you download it, but I do really care about people, and I really like giving tools that really help folks. Okay. All right, let's move on. So here's what happens. We're going to talk about the problem first. Like, why do we even wait, right? But here's what happens, right? We get stuck, and maybe you're grinding, but you're going nowhere. Or maybe you're surviving, but you're not really living. Or maybe you're just tired of feeling like life is happening to you instead of for you. And instead of making a move, you're like, I'm going to just wait. It's got to get better, right? So you wait for someone else to see what you're capable of, or you wait for things to line up, or you wait for it to feel easier or clearer or safer. But the truth is, waiting is the safe play, right? But it's actually not. So, because every day that we wait, when we wait for external things to change, you're giving your power over. Like, if external things don't change, then what, right? Then we stay stuck. And so that's why I think it is so, so important to kind of like examine this, right? So when we wait, we're like, time doesn't stop moving, it keeps moving. And I'm not saying that, we don't need support, because we all do. Every single one of us needs support. We heal in community. But nobody can want your life to change more than you do. Nobody can make that decision for you. Nobody is going to care about your future as much as you need to. And that's not cold, that is just real. So once we accept that, then we can start waiting and start building. And so I think we say this in business a lot. We're like, no one is going to care about your business as much as you do. And it's true. It's true. We have to set those standards for people, even if it's like business stuff. It starts with us first, and that's everything. So let's talk about the neuroscience behind that, right? So here's what your brain is doing. When you were a kid, you actually needed to be rescued. You couldn't handle life on your own, right? Because babies, they need their parents. They can't just go get themselves a bottle or even scratch their back, stuff like that. Like, babies can't do that. So when you think about where we come from, all of us, because we're human and this is the human process, we come from being like rescued, if you look at it that from this lens that we're talking about. So your brain learned when things are hard, we'll wait for help. So you think about that. Well, that wiring is still there. And so when you're stressed, your brain can default to that. And so on top of that, your brain is wired to avoid risk. So when you think about doing something hard, your brain immediately says, well, what if it doesn't work? What if you fail? It's trying to protect you, but it's also keeping you stuck. And so here's the thing. The brain craves certainty. So waiting for something external to fix your situation, that feels certain. You've done it before. You know how it goes. But doing it yourself, that's a little uncertain, and your brain hates that. So it convinces you to keep waiting. But the research is clear. People who believe they have some control over their lives are healthier, happier, and more resilient than people who feel like life is just happening to them. And you can look that up. You don't have to take my word for it. It's not about pretending that you control everything, because you don't. It's about asking, what part of this can I actually influence? And then you act on it. And that's the shift that we're making today. So we're looking at things that are within our scope of control, because a lot of things we don't have control over, but also that doesn't have to run our life for those things that we don't have control over. So the purpose is so that we have some tools. That's what every episode is about for me, because I don't want to just talk, and just to be talking. I want people to know, like, here's something I can try. Here's something I can do. And if I try it, maybe, just maybe, the outcome might equal something else. And also, these things are not going to harm anybody if they try it and they're like, hated it, didn't work, whatever. Okay, it didn't harm you. It's not the end of the world. But I give things so that people can try it, and things that are realistic, things that may help somebody. So let's get into the tools. We're going to talk about 3 tools. Yes, these are neuroscience backed. They are simple. They are powerful. So each one rewires how your brain keeps you waiting. So let's go. Tool number 1. This is the control sword. That's what we're calling it. This helps your brain stop spinning on things that you cannot change and start focusing on things that you can. Here's the neuroscience. When you're focused on stuff outside of your control, the part of your brain that handles stress and uncertainty lights up constantly. You feel anxious, powerless, and you feel stuck. When you shift to what you can control, a different part takes over. The problem solving, decision making part, that's the one that shifts calm. It shifts into your calm part of your nervous system. And that's what gets you moving, because you feel good. You feel calm. So here's how you do it. You're going to pick the thing that is weighing on you. Just one thing. Just pick one thing. We all probably have 10, 100,000. I don't know. We probably have a lot of stuff, right? But we're going to just pick one, because that's how we are going to know whether this shift works or not, right? So pick one thing. You're going to write it out. You want to write it. We have some power in that. So like frustration, barriers, every reason that it feels impossible, just get it out of your head. So I'm picking the thing that's weighing on me, just one. I'm thinking about every frustration, barrier, every reason why it feels impossible, and I'm dumping it out, getting it out of my head. And then I'm going to sort it. So I can draw a line down the middle of the page, and on the left side, what I can't control. On the right side, what I can control. Let me give you an example. So let's say you're frustrated with where you are right now. You can't control what happened in the past, other people's decisions, the economy, opportunities that you didn't get. Like, that's all gonna go on the cannot control side. Switch to the other side where you have your line drawn in the middle. On the other side, you're gonna do what you can do next. That's in your control. Who you reach out to, that's within your control. What you learn, how you show up, where you put your energy. Or maybe you're dealing with like something that's not working, a relationship that's not working, for instance. Can't control how the other person feels, whether they change, what's already happened. Can control whether you say what you need, whether you set your boundaries, whether you stay or you go, how you respond. Or let's think about money. What I can't control, expenses that I already hit, the cost of living, decisions that you've made before, what you can control, what you do with what you have now, whether you learn a new skill, where you allocate your time, whether you ask for help, whether you learn a new skill financially to help you so that you can help yourself. You see the pattern? You're not pretending that the hard stuff doesn't exist. You're getting clear on where you actually have power. And I swear to you, when you write it down, sometimes you have realizations that you are like surprised by. It's like, wait a minute, I didn't even know I was thinking that, and there's power in writing it down. So yes, it does take some time. Yes, it is a little bit of work, but at the same time, a lot of people will say like, it makes so much sense now, or I feel better that I'm doing something about it. And then the brain is like, oh yeah, that's a reward right there. It feels good. So you're going to pick a thing on the right side where we listed all those things that you can do, and you'll do the small thing. What can you do this week? And do it. And why does this work? Because when you focus on what you can't control, your brain is in stress mode. It is not doing what it needs to be doing, okay? When you focus on what you can, your brain shifts into this action mode where it's like, well, I can do that thing. You're literally changing which part of your brain is running the show. So you want to do the sort. You want to pick one and then move. Make it work. I used this example last week with somebody. They were talking about having so much laundry because, life continues to go on. We're busy adults and things like that. But also, like, there's laundry usually every week, right? Or some people do laundry a couple times a week. So we're talking at least once a week, right? So I forgot how many weeks it had been, and no shame, literally it happens. So we were talking about like how to get it done, like what's in their control. We listed all the things that were not in their control, like time, for instance. We only have a certain amount of time a day. We got to be responsible adults. We got to work. We got to feed the kids. We got to do A, B, C, D, right? So where the heck do I find time to do this? And so we were thinking about things that you can control, and the allotted time to maybe just put them in the washer, the allotted time to switch them over, the allotted time to maybe fold a little bit of them and come back later, or to designate, the chores or something like that. So different things for different people's lives, right? But this was so helpful to them because they're like, I could just do one load. Absolutely. It has to start with one. Now, is it going to keep piling up? Sure. It's one of those things that we have to like stay on top of. But we're human, so we don't, but it doesn't mean that you can't get back on track. And then some people even hire services to do it for them. If you have that privilege to do that, So, but it is all about like starting with that small piece. That's what people, I think, miss sometimes, because we know that we're capable of a lot and we know that we can achieve a lot, but we can't all achieve it like all at once. It's just not possible. So I think when you think of it in a smaller piece, that's when we start to excel, because we're like, you know what? I can at least do this one thing right now. So do it. All right. Let's get into the next tool. So we have the first one down. The next one is the micro commitment. So furthering what we're already talking about, right? This fixes the I'll do it when I feel ready trap. So how many of us are like, I'll do it when I feel ready? And then we like never feel ready? Yep, been there. So this fixes the I'll do it when I feel ready trap. Here's how motivation actually works. Your brain doesn't get motivated and then act. It acts and then it gets motivated. So I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but one of the ways that I see it showing up is the gym. So it's like, okay, I'll just go, when I feel motivated. And If you don't feel motivated, you're not going to go, right? So the thing is, what if I just go and then maybe I will feel motivated later? And most of the time, that's how it works. So let's say you go to the gym and I don't know, you just go every day because you feel like that's what I need to be doing right now. Well, after a while, you're going to start to see some changes in yourself, whether it's your energy, your self esteem, your body. And then you will probably feel motivated. You can be like, oh, wait, I like this. I'm going to do some more of this. And it does wonders for mental health, by the way, right? When you go, things happen in the brain and you start to feel a little good. So maybe that's the benefit. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to keep going. Okay. Maybe you weren't motivated at first, though. So that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about with this one. There's a chemical called dopamine that makes you feel good about progress, but it doesn't fire when you think about doing something. It fires when you complete something. And so that's where, I wait till I'm motivated. That might not work. So you want to think about it that way. So if you're waiting to feel motivated before you start, you're waiting for a response that doesn't exist yet. So you have to move first, and then your brain rewards you, and then you keep going. Make sense? I hope so. So here's how. Pick one thing that you've been putting off. It could be anything. I just gave y'all the laundry example because I was really real for somebody that I was working with. So starting something, fixing something, asking for something, pick something, one thing. And then the next step is breaking it into the tiniest possible first step. Y'all see the theme here? So not the whole thing, the first micro move. For example, you want to make a change, but you don't know where to start. Okay. So don't map out the whole plan. Just spend 15 minutes researching one option. You need to reach out to someone, but you keep avoiding it. Don't script the whole conversation. Just write down what you want to say. Don't even send it yet, but just get it out and see what happens. You've been saying that you're going to start something and you haven't. Okay. Don't build the whole thing. Just spend 15 minutes on step 1. Do it today. Set a timer. 15 minutes. When you finish, your brain gets a hit of dopamine. You just did something. Progress registered. Check, right? Tomorrow, do the next small step. You're building momentum in tiny pieces, and that's what works. So I gave you the example of the laundry that was very real for somebody. And for me, going to the gym, it is so hard staying in shape. I don't know about all of you all out there, but for me, I'm like, man, this is actually kind of hard. Well, if I just do a small burst, a small HIIT workout or something like that, I might not want to, but I feel much better. And then I end up doing another one, and also I feel like when you work out, you got to get the soreness out of your body. So it's like, now you got to do more. So the thing is to start. And the thing is to start small, and that's how we get it done. And then we just make it a habit. We start to do it every day, every other day, whatever. Well, our brains feel good because it's like, I made some progress here. So why does this work? Big moves overwhelm your brain. I don't know about you guys, but if I have too much going on, I can't even decide like what I want for dinner. I have like decision fatigue. If I've had a day where I've done therapy all day with all of my clients and stuff like that, and then I'm like, I need to make one more decision what to eat. Whew, I don't know. I'm probably going to order something, And so that's very real. Big decisions overwhelm our brain. It doesn't know where to start. So most of the time we experience like a freeze type of thing. I'm just not going to do nothing. Okay. So let's think about this differently. The micro commitments are so small that your brain can't justify avoiding them. So think of it that way. Once you start, the momentum builds itself. Research shows that people who break things into tiny little pieces, specific actions are 2 to 3 times more likely to follow through. I'm going to say that again. Research shows that people who break things into tiny, specific actions are 2 to 3 times more likely to follow through. That's a big deal, y'all. So if I break it into smaller pieces, I'm more likely to do it. Now, again, in all of my episodes, I say this: we are not striving for perfection. We are not doing that. However, if I'm 2 to 3 times more likely to go to the gym, which I know is a struggle for me, if I break it into a smaller piece, guess what I'm gonna do? Break it into a smaller piece so I can make it happen. So think about it. It's not because they're more motivated. It's because they made it easier for the brain to move. So we're going to stop waiting to feel like we're ready. And we're going to do just 15 minutes. And we're going to build from there. So it's basically just start. Okay? So let's go to the last tool. This is the decision trigger. So this one is for the question that you keep asking yourself, but you never answer. So here's what's happening. Your brain has limited decision-making energy. I just kind of talked about that. The more decisions that you make, the harder each one gets. So it makes sense. As I was putting this together, I'm like, dang, this makes sense. Because I will see so many clients, and then I'll be like, what do I want to eat? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to pick something, and then I feel stuck, and it's frustrating. So I know, okay, we are tired, we need to rest, all the things, right? So here's what's happening though. Like, there's so many that each one gets harder. So something so simple, seems really tremendous, and it's not. But when you're stuck, you're not avoiding decisions. You're making the same one over and over without committing. Should I do this or not? You've asked yourself that 100 times. Every time you ask, you drain energy, but you never land on an answer. That's called rumination. Your brain is stuck in a loop. It exhausts you, and it keeps you stuck. And here's how you break it. So you name the decision that you keep circling. So whatever decision it is for you, the one that you've been thinking about for weeks, maybe months. Should I make this move? Should I leave this situation? Should I start this thing? Should I let go? So think about your decision. What's happening for you right now? Take this and apply it to your own life. Okay, so there's this decision I've been thinking about for a little while. What is it, right? Name it. And then set a deadline to decide. So not to act, just to decide. Pick a date, put it on your calendar. For example, April 15th, I'm going to decide whether I'm doing this or not. So you're not executing the whole plan. You're just making a call. So I was talking about this with somebody that I had went to lunch with, and we were like, dang, we've been meaning to go to lunch for such a long time. And, we finally made it happen because we put a date on the calendar. Now, neither one of us knew, if we would be able to keep it or not, but we did anyway, and we made it happen. If one of us would have had to reschedule, it would have been fine. But we made it happen because we just put it on the calendar to do it. So this is the same concept. You're setting a deadline to decide, So between now and then, get what you need to decide. What would it look like if you did it? What would it look like if you didn't? Talk to some people. Do some research. Sit with it. Don't just spin. You're gathering what you need to make the decision, not avoiding the decision. So on that date, you won't have perfect information. You never do. But you'll have enough. So make the call, commit, then move. And why does this work? Your brain hates open loops. And so unmade decisions usually drains the energy in the background. I was just talking to my man today, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to figure this out. I have a lot of stuff on my schedule. How am I going to make this all work? And we're just talking it out. And I realized that when the loop was open and the unmade decisions, I felt so drained. I was like, I knew like logically that I have to close this loop, but it was really, really hard. So I had to talk to another person to be like, what the heck makes sense, right? And so I was like, I have to figure this out by today. So I set that deadline and I had a target. And so even though I was spinning, I started to solve. And that's what made me feel better is having that processing partner and being able to talk it through. And I was going to go to paper, but this time it wasn't necessary for me to go to paper. I was able to do it in my head, which is not always possible. Sometimes I do have to write it out, but this time I didn't. I think I told y'all a few episodes ago I love a whiteboard. I get on there and write some things. But so that's what we're talking about here, right? So the brain hates open loops, and so when you set a deadline, your brain then has a target. And so we're not going to keep spinning. That's when we do start to solve. And once you decide, your brain releases tension. So it feels nice. It's like, oh my gosh, I can finally move forward. I'm trying to tell you, yesterday I felt so good when I could move forward. I was like, yes, that I figured it out. My nervous system can chill. It was really nice. So studies show that people who set decision deadlines have lower anxiety and higher follow through. Okay, so that is research. Not because the decision got easier though. So we want to keep that in mind. It's because they stopped letting it sit unresolved. So I always tell people run to the work, not from it, right? This is mental work. So some of you have been asking the same questions for a long time. Think about it. What is that? You're not waiting for more clarity. You're avoiding the decision. Set the date, decide, move. That's how you take your power back. So we want to think about ways where you see the theme, right? We're talking about like things I can control versus things I can't. So all of this is about taking your power back. That's what the reset is all about. It really is a reset in many different ways. But I really want to talk about real stuff that people go through. And so I listen to people and then I put together an episode that I think will help somebody. And then we talk about it. You guys can comment. I usually am able to be like, hey, and start talking back to y'all or whatever. It's a conversation. It's a conversation, and it's a conversation that needs to be had. And there aren't many spaces where you can have it. And as long as it's, respectful, we talk about anything. And these are the things that are going to help people move forward. These are the things: repetition, doing it, talking about it, exploring it. You're already a step further. You're already smarter than you were. You already created another neural pathway. So that's what's exciting about to me about having these conversations. It's like, okay, so we can do things a little bit differently, all of us. None of us are perfect human beings. So what else can I do? And you get to decide that. And hopefully you listen, you get some tools, and you're like, well, I can't do everything, but I can do this thing. And you start to see like things improve, even if it's just a tiny, tiny bit, a little bit. That's what we're going for. So 3 tools. We talked about the control sort, figuring out what you can influence, and you're acting on one thing. The micro commitment, where we're talking like 15 minutes today, building from there. And the decision trigger, where you're setting a deadline. You're going to decide. You're going to stop spinning. And you don't need permission. You just need to move. So you're going to pick one, and then you're going to start today. And then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is great. Why did I never think about this? and you're going to share it with somebody else. And they're going to be like, oh my God, thank you for sharing this with me. Let's both move forward. And you're going to have this great circle of support. That's what I hope for everybody anyway. So, nobody's coming to save you. And that is the most empowering thing I can tell you, because it means that you are not powerless. You're not waiting on somebody else's timeline. Your brain wants you to wait because it feels safer. But that waiting is costing you. And it's costing you too much. So sort what you control, commit small, decide and move. That's how you stop waiting, and that's how you start building. And that's what I want for all of us. I want all of us to win, okay? So, here's your challenge. Pick one tool this week. You're going to do the control, sort, and act on one thing, or commit 15 minutes to what you've been avoiding, or set a deadline for a decision that you keep spinning on. Pick one and do it. And if this hits you, send it to someone that you think needs to hear this. Email me at the reset at WTFnationradio.com. Tell me what you did. Let's talk about this. We want to stop waiting and start moving. That's what this is all about. A lot of people talk about feeling stuck, or a couple weeks ago we talked about like living the life that somebody else created, not living the life that you want to live. I can't tell you how many times people say that. Or just in general feeling stuck. And I mean, it takes work. We didn't get stuck overnight. You know, a lot of times we'll look back and we'll realize, oh man, I felt stuck for months now, or years even for some people. Well, it didn't happen overnight, so we're not going to fix it overnight. However, we can make a step. You know, I always tell people to identify the gap here from where you are versus where you want to be. And, you know, we have a little gap. But in that gap, you can take one step closer to where you want to be. And it doesn't mean that we're going to have this perfect life or anything like that, but it means that I can start to evaluate some stuff. I can start to see, like, what do I want out of my life, you know? And maybe I gotta be realistic, you know, but at the same time, are there changes I can make? And for most of us, yeah, absolutely. But we gotta face it. We gotta have that self-awareness, you know, to be able to do that. And so that's what this is about. When we sit and we have these type of conversations, you are forced to look at yourself. You know, this isn't about, oh, well, so-and-so keeps doing this, or so-and-so been doing that for so many years and blah, blah, blah. Cool for them, right? But for me, I don't want that. You know, I'm going to sit and I'm going to look at what we're talking about here. Are there things that I can do to improve? And the answer is yes. Absolutely. We can improve. So, the point of this conversation is for us to have a reset. You've been going all week, you know, whatever your work week looks like, whatever school looks like, whatever unemployment looks like, whatever situations we have in our life, we all deserve a reset. We all deserve to sit and ponder and just let our imagination do what it does, okay? Our imagination is powerful if we use it, and we want to use it towards the good, okay? So hopefully this helps. Hopefully you sit and you think about a tool that you can use, and you tune in next week and, I don't know, chat it up. Tell me about the things that you've done from one week to the next. And the thing is too, if we start something, we should see progress. So I'm talking 7 days, right? If we start something today, and let's say, I don't know, we choose the 15 minutes of preparing my food this week, so I can stop eating out so much. That's what I said I was going to do. So, but if I do that though, and maybe I forget in the middle of the week, or I get tired and slack or whatever, but I get right back on it, I'm still going to do better than I did last week. So the point is to sit, ground ourselves in this moment, whether you're listening, actively, or you're listening in the background. I'm just playing in the background. Doesn't matter. It's the things about our brain. It's to think about it. And so if we think about it and we start to make these little changes, and then we see it, evaluate next Sunday, right? This is every Sunday, whether it's pre-recorded or I hop on live. Consistency is what I'm striving for, right? So in a week from now, when we talk about something else, another topic, another tool, man, I thought I silenced my phone, y'all. Apologize for that. Let me ignore the call. Dang. I'm not editing that out because, listen, we real over here, okay? But yeah, I did think I silenced my phone before I started. But anyways, lost my train of thought. But anyways, the point is 7 days, we're going to change. We're going to change a little bit each day. Small tweaks. Small tweaks equal big changes. That's my point. So yes, you have the 3 tools that we just talked about. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why somebody would keep calling. All right, now I'll silence it for real. Maybe. Okay. Yeah. So sorry. Silence it for real, y'all. Okay, so anyways. So we talked about the 3 tools. You're going to pick one and you're going to try it. And you're going to keep track because you are the expert of your own life. No one is going to do it for you. No one is coming to save you. So when you keep track, though, I want you to celebrate each day. If you do something a little bit different, fine. Tweak it to how you need it to work, right? So stop waiting. Start moving. Okay? So you are the person that you've been waiting for. Resilience is not optional. It is the mission. I'm Dr. J. You got this. This is the Reset with Dr. J, where we take those WTF moments and we turn them into breakthroughs. Have a good week, y'all.
Oh.